All around the world, central bank digital currencies are either in pilot scheme or executive order stage in the States, or they're floating under the radar.
Every person that I come in contact with in the public, I ask them, do you know what a CBDC is or a central bank digital currency? And nobody knows.
The central bank digital currency is basically what we have now. So it's fiat currency, but it's going to be entirely digital, which means absolutely in the control of the government and the central banks.
Such a system would give the state full access to the details of all transactions, as well as the ability to cut off an individual's money supply with the flick of a digital switch.
The CEO of the Bank for International Settlements recently told the world that the great thing about central bank digital currency was that they could track every transaction.
We tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that.
What he just told you is if you're not allowed to buy chocolate, your money won't work to buy chocolate. If you're not allowed to go more than 5 kilometers from your home, your car or your money won't work more than 5 kilometers from your home. And those rules can be dictated and controlled at a phenomenally central level.
Central bank digital currencies are programmable. So it essentially means that it's a much easier way to push agendas, political agendas. For example, the World Economic Forum is talking about implementing a carbon allowance. So every individual will be given a certain amount of carbon that they are allowed to emit into the atmosphere. With a central bank digital currency, this becomes far more efficient because with a click of a button, you literally just program the money. And so if for whatever reason you buy too many burgers, too many sausages one week, when you go to fill up your car, your money could be cancelled. It could get declined simply because you use too much of your carbon allowance, essentially. Or even if you go to buy a plane ticket, it could get cancelled. So it's much easier to push forward political agendas and political ideologies when you have money which is programmable with just a click of a button.
It actually gives government pretty much total control over our lives because they can just press a button and close our bank accounts. No, they wouldn't do that now, would they? Well, think about it. Those Canadian truckers, they were legally and lawfully going about their business driving trucks, but legislation came in demanding that unless they'd been double vaxxed, they couldn't continue in their cabins doing long-distance lorry driving. And they protested, and in the end, their bank accounts were closed down by the Canadian government.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoking emergency powers against the truckers who are protesting vaccine mandates. Banks can now freeze their personal accounts.
If your truck is being used in these illegal blockades, your corporate accounts will be frozen.
With a central bank digital currency, if you do not hold the correct opinion, and if you're not a good citizen, then absolutely that money will be programmed to be used against you.
Our previous Chancellor, now unelected Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is clearly a big fan.
Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote. It's all part of the wider story of digital innovation that has delivered benefits to millions around the world and in the UK.
What would the benefits be to the general public?
Ease of use, I think, would be the only benefit.
Convenience.
Convenience, and that's how they're going to sell it.
The arguments for it are clear. It'll be quick, easy, cheap to transact. There'll be no problems at all, no loose change lying around. There'll be lots and lots of arguments for it.
But they won't tell you everything else. They won't tell you how it will be programmed. They won't tell you that it's a spy coin. They won't tell you that they're trying to phase out cash and that they want to track absolutely everything that you're doing.
The cons definitely outweigh any type of pros when it comes to, programming it for benefits and things like that. Because the money can also expire. Not enough people talk about that. During times of economic uncertainty, central banks like to print more money in order to stimulate the economy. But we could get to a point where instead of printing money, they say, well, if you don't spend 10% of your savings in the next 3 months, then this money is going to expire simply because they need that money to change hands.
If I want to double taxes and just take it out of your account, no problem.
They can take your taxes out without you having to bother to pay. They can decide what comes to them first.
This is Richard Werner, the top academic scholar in the world on central banking.
Also, they never talk about the nature of this CBDC. What is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. Right. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. He saw it. He was invited to one of the old central banks in Europe that are very much promoting this. They showed him. And, he's a top, executive director of another central bank in Europe. And there's no reason to believe that he was telling me a story. And he was around this large and would be implanted under your skin. So that is the plan.
I had a friend, Nick Rockefeller, who was one of the Rockefeller family. And one of the things that we used to talk about was the ultimate plan of the banking industry, what they wanted to accomplish. The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips. There'll be no more cash. And this is given me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And you become a slave. You become a serf to these people. That's their goal.
The goal of this manipulation, and has been for a very long time, is to get the world population to see as a good idea, or the only option in given circumstances that are manipulated into place, the creation of a one world government, a world central bank which would administer all financial transactions on the planet, a world currency which wouldn't be coins and notes, it would be merely electronic, cashless society for which there are fundamental implications for freedom, and a microchipped population linked to a global computer, the latter of which sounds bizarre to many people on first hearing, except that we are ridiculously close to it and the technology already exists.
Tony Danner is standing at a new frontier in technology. The chip in his hand allows him to start his car, open doors, log onto his computer, and buy snacks in the break room, all with just a swipe of his hand.
You scan it at the kiosk, it comes up on the kiosk, and then to finalize your payment, you'll put your RFID chip.
The most cutting-edge thing about Hannes Hoerblad isn't the phone in his hand, it's the microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is steadily becoming a part of normal life in Sweden. Thousands already have microchip implants that they use in their daily lives, waving their hand to gain entrance to the gym, confirm their ID or make payments.
What they're trying to do is take the financial system all digital. And we're trying to prevent that from happening because, and I don't care whether it's a central bank digital currency or your Visa card, once you have 100% digital, then you can have central digital control.
Using cash is one of the things we can do to make sure the hurdle will be higher for the central planners to introduce the CBDC.
Use cash every day if you can. If you can persuade 10 members of your friends and family to do the same, and then persuade 10 members of their family or friends, and we spread this virally, there would be a revolution. We have the power individually to shift the entire state of affairs.
We have the power to stop this. We do. The only way this can succeed is if people like you and people like me sit on our ass, sit on the couch, don't get up, don't show up, and go along with it.
If you look at the global control grid, it is us, we the people, who are financing it. We are going to work and we are building it. We are spending money in it. We are supporting it. We are supporting the people who are leading it. And we have the power to stop because they are few and we are many. And if we just stop helping, they can't do it.
Everybody has power. Every single person. Because when you get a whole bunch of people, even if they have a little bit of power each, and you put it all together, now they got a lot of power. Now they can make governments do what they want.
You think a snowflake is powerless until you realize enough of them get together, they can shut down New York City. There are millions and millions of people all over the world fighting. People are pushing back all over, and it's very significant. The human race, does not want to be controlled. Freedom has won every time, and every time it looked hopeless. What they're trying to do is so against the fundamental wisdom in the universe that they will fail. You have nothing to lose by fighting it all the way down to the wire every day, because the alternative is something not only do you not want to live in it, but you do not want to arrive at the pearly gates and say that your soul accepted it.